What's up, guys? Welcome back to Cobra Kai Karate. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, special day. We have an interview with Sean Kanan, Mike Barnes himself. How are you doing?
Hey, brother. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing good. And yeah, I actually interviewed Sean Kanan back in May of 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for coming on again.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And yeah, last live or last interview, we talked about your book, talked about Karate Kid. We couldn't bring up too much about season 5 because you weren't confirmed. You weren't confirmed to be in it. We didn't know. And now, after 9 months later, you were in season 5. You did absolutely amazing. Loved it so much. And yeah, so yeah, we'll definitely. So what we'll be talking about, we might talk a little bit about Karate Kid as well. We'll talk about season 5, and we will even talk about your new book. You got a new book, Way of the Cobra, Welcome to the Kumite. It's the sequel to your first one. I read the first one. I haven't got around to the second one yet. I'm trying to get it. Yeah, so we'll be talking about all that stuff today. But yeah, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. We just got over this like 5 days of unbelievable rain in Los Angeles, and about a week ago, it actually snowed in Malibu. It's been the craziest weather, and today's been the first day the sun's out, and people are actually walking around again. So I'm very happy to be out and about and doing things, and but talking to you too.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So yeah, we'll get into a couple of our first questions here. I guess we'll talk a little about season 5 because it is a lot. I do have a lot of questions about that. So when you first heard that you were going to be in season 5, like when they first came to you, what was your initial reaction to knowing you're going to be in this season?
Oh, I was really excited. I mean, obviously, I'd been waiting for a while to get that call, and when I finally did, it was amazing. So excited to be able to, work with Billy Zabka, who I've known for 30 plus years, but I've never worked with him, to reconnect with Ralph, have the chance to work with Yuji. I mean, I know I was only in 2 episodes, and a lot of that I think was a function of the fact that I was still shooting Bold and the Beautiful, going back and forth. So, I think that they really did their best to pack a lot into those 2 episodes with me and give me a nice arc.
Nice. Yeah, you did very great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think your role, it wasn't just thrown in as like a cameo. I think it really did play a nice part in the season.
Right.
And yeah, you did a great job acting everything as well. Especially, I loved episode 10 where you came in the limo and you threw Daniel out. I mean, that scene was just phenomenal. The acting there was amazing.
Thank you.
And I just love that. That was so great. Also another question. How was it going in with Mike Barnes after returning to the character for like 30 years? So how was it returning back? And did you have like anything prepared or any backstory, or just how did you go in to the Mike Barnes character returning with him?
Well, as an actor, you're always trying to create a backstory for your character, even if it's not necessarily indicated in the script. So I've always had a backstory for Mike Barnes. And for me, you got to ask yourself, like, why would a kid who's 17 come down from up north, as they said, which could have been, Oakland, or it could have been San Francisco or Portland or whatever. And he's basically becomes under the employment of an adult and, gets hired to do this horrendous, campaign of terror against another teenager. And I always came up with, in my head, that it was because he had a mother who was really sick and he was doing it, needed to give her the money so she could get an operation. That's just, something in my head. But when I came back to Cobra Kai after 30 plus years, for me, it was really important to show that the character had experienced some kind of evolution, whether he became much, much worse or whether he had, developed some self-awareness and tried to become a better person, which is what we saw. But I just didn't want it to be this one-dimensional, stagnant character like it was for most of Karate Kid 3, which, by the way, is very much what they wanted. And that was repeated to me again and again. I think, in retrospect, if I had the opportunity to play the character again in Karate Kid 3, I would have been more vocal about certain choices that I would have rather have seen emotionally my character play. But I was a
Mhm.
very young actor, and I was so excited to have the part, and I figured it was best just to keep my mouth shut. But coming back to Cobra Kai, it was really great because Hayden and John and Josh really sculpted a role for me that allowed us to see a really cool arc with Mike Barnes. In the beginning,
Mhm.
you think, okay, it's a redemption thing. He's kind of a civilian now, a normal guy, has a wife, runs a furniture store that he owns. Uh, but you see that when push comes to shove and when everything is taken away from him, that the bad boy still lives within Mike Barnes, and he was
Yeah.
able to summon up the beast when he had to.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that was a really cool backstory you gave to him. Of course, it's not like a confirmed thing in the universe, but just going that step is
No, it's
really
just
nice.
something you're always
Yeah.
looking for a reason as an actor to come up with what you're fighting for, because no character really thinks they're bad. Every character thinks they're doing what they're doing because they're trying to get what they want, and in their mind, what they're trying to get usually makes a lot of sense to them. And just to be this obnoxious bully, that's really unidimensional. I at least wanted to try and give the guy some kind of a little more layered performance. Best I could do with what I had.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm gonna go to the next question. I have to apologize. I had to get a charger for my laptop, so maybe you can answer as I'm getting it. So I'm sorry. I'm a little unprepared. I'm sorry. But I think the next question, which I'll be listening as I get it, is Fury, which is just kind of Fury, Mike Barnes. Do you think Mike Barnes still has some bad in him, or do you think he's fully redeemed? And as your answer, I'm gonna go get my charger.
Do you want me to wait for you or answer it?
You can answer. Yeah, I'll be listening. I'll be listening.
Do I think Mike Barnes is fully redeemed? Well, that's a tough one. I don't know. I think that joining forces with Chosen and Johnny and Daniel against Terry Silver and having their back, went a far distance to letting him achieve some redemption. But I think that he probably still has a little bit more to make up for. Um, I mean, he's obviously a guy that's done a fair amount of work on himself over the decades since we've seen him last, but obviously he's not perfect because we see that, once his wife is gone, as we heard him tell Daniel, and his furniture store is burned down, there's no one more dangerous than somebody who has nothing to lose. And we meet Mike Barnes in episode 10, and he's obviously a little bit tuned up, and he's spoiling for a fight, and he's a beast in a corner.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, low breath. I just read like flash. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
All right, let's get to the chat. Let's get the chat to say. Cobra Kai Zone, what's up? How are you? See if you have any theories. Mike Barnes versus Silver needs to happen.
Yeah.
You guys did we almost saw it, but yeah, that would be an interesting fight. I think it'd be a fair fight.
I mean, I always say, listen, for a guy that's been making furniture for the last 10 years or so, Mike Barnes managed to land a couple punches on Chosen.
Yep, that is true.
So imagine what would happen if Mike got back in the dojo and got serious, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that'd be great.
And he managed to sell him a couch for $2,000.
2,000. Oh my gosh, that scene where you first came in episode 3, the whole furniture shop fight was so
it was
crazy.
Genius.
Like,
so great what they came up with.
It was so funny as well. It was so hilarious. Yeah, that was amazing. And yeah, actually, I'll go to another question. If you can answer, what was your favorite scene filming in Cobra Kai season 5? I know it's hard because there's a lot of great stuff. But what was your favorite?
It's pretty easy. No, my favorite scene was coming out the limo. I mean,
oh my gosh,
it was fantastic. It just the four of us really sort of hit a rhythm as actors, and we're really having fun. And you can always tell when a scene has gone pretty well when you had fun doing it. It's
Yeah.
usually an indication that, you know, you brought something interesting to the table, and we all had a blast.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first saw that, first reacted to season 5, I stayed up for it, of course.
Right.
It was like probably 3 a.m. I had to apologize to all my siblings. Screamed. I was so excited.
Oh, that's
It was
great, man.
awesome. It was just a great entrance as well. The way it happened, it was just
You
so
know,
amazing.
you know, as an actor, it's kind of great. You get to have, if you're lucky, you get to have sort of two moments that are actually three moments that are really exciting in something like this. You get the moment when you get the part, and that's really exciting. You get the moment when you get to act in it, and that's really exciting. But when you get a moment when the people that watch it really like it, and you know you've entertained them, that's super rewarding. It feels so good to know that, you know, all that hard work was received positively, and
Yes.
and gave joy to the people who saw it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's nice. Cobra, what did you think of the fact that Mike Barnes was the first Cobra Kai student who still did not hold a grudge against Daniel? Oh, I actually never thought of that.
Well, what would Mike Barnes have to hold a grudge against Daniel? I mean, you know, Mike
Yeah.
Barnes was a, you know, sociopathic maniac in that. I mean, and as evidenced by the fact that, you know, he had been carrying with him this desire to apologize to Daniel for all these years. So um, I don't think that Mike Barnes felt that he was in any way wronged by Daniel.
Yeah. And yeah, because it was more Mike Barnes going towards him. It wasn't really Daniel going towards him. I guess that's how Johnny looked at that way, and maybe chosen. So yeah, and yeah, we'll talk about your book now. What
Sure.
Way to Cobra Tsukumuke.
Right there. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. So yeah, I read your first book. It was amazing. I'm not the biggest book reader, but it was phenomenal. I loved it. I'm gonna read the second one soon. I'll just start with you just want to tell what the book's about and everything like that.
Sure. So Welcome to the Kumite is the sequel to Way of the Cobra. And for those people that don't know, Kumite is a traditional modality for training in Japanese karate to prepare you for sparring. It's more like one-step sparring. Kumite also was made famous by the movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme called Bloodsport. Kumite represented this, big epic battle. And so the premise of the book is conquer your greatest opponent. And of course, your greatest opponent is yourself. It's about mastering your emotions. And how do you conquer your greatest opponent? Well, you do that by being reborn every day as a better version of yourself than who you were yesterday. And I talk about how to do that. I give you the strategies and the philosophy so that you can become a better version of yourself every single day. The book is also very personal in some parts. In the very beginning, I talk a lot about some of the challenges that I had with drinking and other things, and how I used the information in the book to overcome it. And I'm really proud of it. I think that the people who have read it all over the world, so many of them have had huge shifts in their lives, just becoming better versions of themselves. So I'm really proud of the book. And yeah, sure, you write a book, you want to sell it. I mean, and that's true. But more than that, I really want to inspire people. I'm committed to that. And part of that's selfish because when I have the opportunity to inspire people, it inspires me. And that's kind of the interesting thing about, when you inspire people, it's a lot like, love. The tighter you hold on to it, the less of it you have. It wants to escape. The more you let it go, the more it comes back to you. So, for those people that want to get it, you can get it at wayofthecobra.com. It's the only place that you can get it right now. It's not on Amazon. And if you haven't read, if you haven't read Way the Cobra, you can get on Amazon, Kindle, or you can get an autographed copy at wayofthecobra.com. And one last thing, as I'm doing gratuitous plugs here. I'm really trying to build up the Way of the Cobra Instagram page, because Monday through Friday I'm putting inspirational, motivational information, strategies, all things that can help you be more successful in your life. So if everybody who sees this can go follow it, I sure would appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah. So everyone who has Instagram, definitely go follow the Way of the Cobra. There'll definitely some great things on there, and make sure to check out his book also. Yeah. So yeah, we'll read some more of the chat and then see if they have some questions.
Great.
Melissa says, Sean Kanan, were you surprised that they had a Mike fully redeemed in the show and not still on the path of redemption?
I don't know that I necessarily agree with the complete premise of your question. I don't know that Mike was fully redeemed.
Yeah.
He was certainly largely redeemed, but I think probably even in Mike's eyes, and probably in Daniel's too, he's got a little further to go. By demonstrating that not only was he contrite and sorry for what he did, and that he's grown, but that he's willing to have Daniel's back.
Yeah. And this one says, if you get to be in season 6, what do you hope for Mike Barnes?
Well, I mean, we've got this big tournament coming up, this worldwide tournament, and who better than Mike Barnes, more so than Chosen, more so than Johnny, and more so than Daniel, to teach these kids what it takes to win in a tournament. Because Mike Barnes was a national champion. As great a sensei as Johnny is, he won a small tournament in the Valley of Los Angeles. Mike Barnes was a national champion. So we got to believe that he knows some training methodology, some fighting psychology. I think he certainly would know how to teach the kids how to be intimidating on the mat. But I think he's also probably learned some other stuff too. I always equate it, when I think about this, to iron is strong, right? But steel is made from iron plus other alloys. When you bring other elements like nickel into iron, steel becomes stronger than iron. And I think that the combination of Chosen, Daniel, Johnny, and Mike Barnes might be just the recipe to give the kids all the different aspects of what they're going to need to know to succeed at the tournament.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I would love to see Mike Barnes as a sensei and helping the students. I think that would be great. So that would be nice.
Yeah, I think it would be great if Mike, realizing that he doesn't have his furniture store anymore, decides, what, I'm gonna get the eye of the tiger, and we pick it up because I would guess that season 6 is going to pick it up with a bit of a time lapse. I would imagine. I can't really say, but I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And find that Mike Barnes has now opened up a dojo, or that he's working as a sensei for Miyagi-Do.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting to see. And another one here, Sean Kanan, what student in Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai could you see Mike Barnes relating and bonding to the most?
Without a doubt, Johnny, and I'll tell you why. I mean, Johnny and I think Mike, probably both have the same anachronistic quality, and by that I mean they've kind of got one foot still firmly in the 80s, and those two never had any problem with each other. They didn't know each other. And I don't know. I mean, I think there was a begrudging friendship that was starting to form with Chosen too. You see Mike helping him out of the limo after he's been injured, and I think Mike would probably have a lot of fun at Chosen's expense. Like the way friends do sometimes. Giving him a rough time and teasing him a little bit. And I think that Mike and Daniel could actually really forge a very special friendship, because when you have somebody that's an enemy and you make them into a friend, they sometimes become some of your most staunch friends. Abraham Lincoln said, "I destroy my enemies by making them my friends."
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see Johnny and Mike Barnes bonding a lot. I could definitely see them
Yeah.
becoming friends. So that'd be really cool. We didn't see them interact too much in season 5. So if, of course,
I love when Johnny says the bad boy is right.
that was hilarious.
It was
Yeah.
so funny. I'm 56 years old. He still called me the bad boy.
Yes. Yeah, bro.
When do I get to be the bad man?
The bad man. The whole limbo scene was so greatly done. Chosen, Daniel, Mike Barnes, Johnny, all in that moment,
Right.
and how like crazy stuff was happening. I think it was the opening of episode 10. What a great opening.
I mean,
that was so just amazing.
Much funny stuff. And I love when we get to Terry Silver's house, and I'm going to kick the door down, and Johnny tells me, no, you better let me do it.
Yeah.
And Chosen opens the door and it's unlocked.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Here we go. Sean Kanan, with the potential backstory that you gave as you thought of Mike Barnes, if they decide to give you that to Mike Barnes, do you think that there would be a way to give him a connection to Tori?
I get asked that a lot. A lot of people suspect that Mike Barnes might be Tori's father.
And I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I'm not the writers, but I think that's a bit ridiculous. I mean, I don't know.
But here's the thing: these guys are so good.
They are.
Their writing ability and the way they think out of the box. I mean, there's nothing that would faze me that they could come up with, because I know that it would be executed in a way, as outlandish as it might sound, it would be executed in a way that was believable and relevant to the overall arc of the show.
Yeah. I mean, I could see Tori and Mike Barnes bonding with some things, because Tori, she has a rough life as a kid, joining Cobra Kai. I could see Mike Barnes being more like a mentor towards Tori.
Yeah,
I think that would work very well. So yeah, I think stuff like that would work well, and maybe even a mentor with Kenny as well, because he's under the wing of Silver. So a lot of interesting stuff you can do with Mike Barnes in the next season. But yeah. So, what else could we ask? I don't know.
it's your show. You should know.
Yeah, you are true. I should have kept before. All right, thank God we got a chat. Let's see what he says.
Easy, man.
Sean Kanan, do you think that we can get a flashback of Mike Barnes in season 6, showing the event of how he became karate's bad boy back in the 80s?
Boy, I would love that. I think it'd be really great to see them hire an actor, and I'd love to have a young Mike Barnes to see that. That would be a lot of fun for me. Sure. Listen, the more depth that, they want to give to Mike Barnes, that would be great. Sure.
Yeah. And we did have that young CGI Johnny in season 5, which was done very well. So if we saw Mike Barnes, that'd be very cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess we'll end this soon. I'll ask one more question.
Would it be really cool if they did a CGI thing where Mike Barnes and Johnny are like in the same place and walk right by each other but don't recognize each other? See them as 16-year-old kids or something, and they just stop and they just sort of look at each other for a second, think they recognize each other, and then just walk on.
That would be cool. An interaction with young Mike Barnes, even a small one, young Mike Barnes and Johnny would be. Yeah, it'd be like a dream come true. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I'll wrap up this interview with one last question. It's with your with your book. So yeah, with your book, what are some of the similarities with your first book you have in this book, and what are some of the differences you have with the new book?
Well, the similarities are that, again, the structure of the book is that I'm the sensei. The chapters are divided into belts, going from white belt to black belt. That's one of the similarities. We refer to everyone who's reading the book as a member of the dojo. So it gives kind of a consistency from the first book. The voice is my voice. It's the same voice, but all new strategies, all new ways to everything from managing your time to dealing with difficult people, to dealing with yourself when you're procrastinating, and a lot of information about how habits play such a big role in our lives. And if you identify the habits that are disempowering you, how do you change them? How do you swap them out with empowering habits? And I teach you literally how to get rid of bad habits and replace them with good habits so that you can, crush your goals.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems awesome. I'm definitely gonna get that book soon, and
Excellent.
yeah, and I recommend everyone else to check out that book as well. I'm sure it's great. But yeah, we'll end this now. Thank you, Sean Kane, for coming on again. Really appreciate it. It's so awesome talking to you, and
My pleasure.
love the season. Yeah, I love you in season 5. And I love all your work you're doing. Keep it up, and yeah, thanks everyone for watching and the questions in the chat, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Thanks.